start, I want to introduce a few people. First is my mentor, Will Boast. You may know her as the media specialist at Kittitas, and she's the current STEM teacher for middle school over at Ellensburg. These are my evaluators, Mr. Lecker, here at Kittitas, and also with us are my parents, Robin D. Weber, and my brother, Weber. The first career that I always saw myself pursuing was an artist, and I spent most of my time drawing, and to this day that's still a habit, but ever since I discovered what kind of art you can create with computers, I began to design graphics using programs such as Photoshop and Illustrator. Up until last year, I was satisfied with becoming a graphic designer, and I thought that's everything I wanted to do. But then I realized I wanted to do more than design an image. I wanted to make it interactive, and there's no way to do that with an image. So I thought of a job that allows me to create interfaces that also incorporates elements of graphic design. An interesting career that matched that description was web design. Although web design is a field that matches those preferences, in the future I'd like to expand into more apps and programs, and the combination of web design, app design, and program design is commonly referred to as user interface design. And the inspiration for my project came from the fact that I finally had an idea about what I wanted to do, and I wanted to incorporate elements of graphic design into an interactive web application. This year, I finally had the chance to showcase what I learned by creating a website for my senior project. The first step was making a detailed proposal that would describe what I was going to be doing, what I was going to utilize, and how I was going to do the entire project. Once I was approved by Ms. Houston, I was able to find a mentor, and I chose one that would have coding experience that should help me along the way, and that was Ms. Bose. And once I had the mentor, I had to plan out what I was going to be doing, and you can see, you probably can't see the numbers, but that's every 2 weeks. I find that I was going to have 3 goals done for the project, and the end being having it published. Throughout the project, I had one major goal, that I thought about the entire time I was creating it, and that was determine if I wanted to become a user interface designer. And in order to do that, there are a few steps I had to complete. I had to first learn the languages that I was going to be using to create the web page, and I learned the basic syntax as a sophomore in a web design class, but that was a few years ago, and I forgot most of that this year because I hadn't practiced it in a while, so I need to brush up on that. And once I learned the languages, I needed to learn the actual process of creating a website. And then finally, I needed to creatively use graphics and interactive elements to make the experience for the user when they're using the web page as enjoyable as possible. The process of learning the languages took up the most time since, like I said, I had forgotten most of what I learned as a sophomore, taking one class. And when I was learning the languages, I didn't really go to one specific guide. I just started with small-scale projects, and then whenever I encountered a problem or wanted to learn how to do something, I would search that on Google, and I would usually find a forum where people had asked a similar question, and I could get the answer. The languages I decided to use were the 2 most common languages used in web design, and that is HTML and CSS. And the most common way to think about HTML and CSS is HTML is kind of the core structure of the code. It contains all the content and the functions, and then CSS is a language that is applied to the HTML to make it look better. You can invite it into pages and change its styles individually. And in a few minutes, I'll give you an example of what HTML and CSS look like, and what they look like separate, and what they look like when you combine them. So once I learned how to use the languages, I needed to find a topic for the website. And I had no personal use. Couldn't think of anything I wanted to create a website about for myself. So I asked around, and it turned out a classmate, Tell Me Out, was making videos for the high school about how to use the weight room. And I thought this was a great idea I could offer to build my website and I could showcase the web videos. And I kind of made a website that was all about the Kittitas weight room, how to use it, how to get in contact with people who could help you out. This is Adam. It's a program. It's called an IDE, which is a integrated development environment. And this is where you write code, and then you can reference your files in your project, which are over here, to create the entire website. This is the screen that I spent looking at for most of my time, because this is where the actual coding of the website is done. And oftentimes, if there's one little typo in the thing, in the code, then you display it in the browser, it can just drastically change the way it looks. So I had to be able to recognize what the syntax looks like and when it was incorrect, so I could fix the problem and not be searching for hours without finding anything. Now this is the other program that I used, which was Adobe Photoshop. And this is the program that I used to edit the photos and create the graphics. All the images on the site were made with this program. Most of the pics were just cropped and recolored pictures that I took of the weight room and would be used as banners on the page to highlight text. And other uses for this program included making the graphics. Over there, there's the K for the Kittitas. That's the Kittitas logo, and that was incorporated into the website, and you'll see that later. And this is a diagram that was underneath the video on what muscles the specific lift work, so I did that for all the videos that we made. So when you're creating a website, it's really important to have images, or else it looks really plain and really bare. And you can see that on the left side. This is my website. It's a preview of a page from my website that has no images, and it isn't very appealing to look at. And on the right side, it is a version with images. So you can tell that adding images is an important step. So you can make some areas of the web page pop. And you can probably tell that if you have images in your web page, it's more likely people are going to be able to trust the website that looks better more. Earlier I mentioned the importance of CSS and HTML and CSS working together. This is why, because the left image is a screenshot of a page from my website, but this is just the HTML, this is just the base code, and the site still functions the same way, it just looks very unappealing. And the right side is with the CSS applied to it. And when you have CSS applied to it, you're able to add images, change the styles of text, and organize your content into different areas of the page instead of having to just list straight down the page in a boring fashion. I used a program called GitHub, and this is a terminal window. It's a screenshot of a terminal window that I used that I would have to make it. Once I uploaded my code to GitHub, I had to download this, and whenever I made a change locally, then I would need to write a command that would push those changes into the version that was posted on GitHub, which you'll see later. That's where my website is right now. And also, GitHub also stores all the source code for my website, so I can share it easily and access it from anywhere. Here's my quick progress on the website. This took about 3 weeks, since most of the time that I was in senior projects, I spent learning the languages, and I spent 3 weeks actually creating the website. These are 4 pages. This is the top left is the home page. That's the contact page. And this is the page that showcases all the videos so you can navigate through them. And this is an example of what a page looks like. Once you click on one of these, it'll take you to a page that has that specific video. And then you can't see right now, but underneath it has a diagram for what that lift works. And the entire project is roughly 1,600 lines of code. The where 70% of that was HTML and the other 30% was CSS. Once I felt that my website was complete, I sent it to friends as well as my mentor to kind of look at the website and play around with it and navigate through it to make sure there were no problems. And there were two bugs. There's one example is when you resize the web page, there was a part where the text would, the container of the text would get really small, but the text itself would stay the same, so it would overlap into other elements around the page. So I fixed that by creating the minimum width, so it's never allowed to get that small, so it would never be able to be a problem. And then another example was when we would click some links, they would crash, and this is because I was experimenting with a new language, and what I accidentally did was declared an infinite loop, which is when you word a function in a way that it will never actually, it'll keep trying to do one process, but you word it vaguely, so it'll keep trying to do it, but it'll never do it, so it's just keeps on going forever, and then it'll just crash the web page. So that's why if I had more time, I would have learned the language I was trying to use better, so I can implement it and have more complex functions being used in the web page. And there were also some suggestions, not necessarily issues. So changing a few fonts. Of course, that's not going to take away from the usability of the website. It just makes it look a little better. So I was advised to change a few fonts, like font sizes and colors, to make it look better. As well as I needed to create a separate contact page since I had my contact information kind of scattered around throughout the pages. So I concentrated it into one page to make it easier to find. I would say that my personal goal was met, and that was, do I want to become a user interface designer? And the answer is yes, because the whole process of creating the website was really interesting, and I'd like to apply that to not just web applications, but programs and mobile apps. There were a lot of things that went well during during the process of creating the website, and that was, one of them was after I established the base theme on the first page, then creating everything else was going by a lot faster since I knew how it was going to look, and I didn't really need to experiment with any different design elements. And then there were a few things that could have been improved. One of the main ones was that I should have learned HTML and CSS earlier instead of starting right once the project was assigned, because if I learned it earlier, then I probably would have had time to get the website done a lot sooner, and then maybe experiment with using another programming language that could add more interesting elements to the web page. And if someone else was doing a project similar to this, my advice would be just to start early and make sure that you actually like what you're doing, because this can be a boring process if you're not patient and you don't really like doing it, you don't like coding the website. There are a lot of people I'd like to thank for making this project possible. One of them was Joelle Boast. She was very accessible throughout the entire process of making the project, and I could talk to her whenever I needed, and she would be able to respond to my text if I had questions. And also Mr. Lepe and Mrs. Hudson for being here to evaluate my presentation tonight. As well as Ms. Usini, she kind of pushed us really hard in the classroom and stressed the importance of making a good senior project presentation and being prepared. As well as Hunter Wallace and Tyler Church. Those are my two friends that I sent the project to, and they're the ones who found the bugs in the site, so I was able to fix those and make the final version look better. Do you know how much time you have?
Maybe 8, 7, 8 minutes? Well, we have people coming at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
8 minutes.
This is the link to the actual website that I made, and it's hosted on GitHub. This is the home page. It's just kind of about the weight room and with a picture website and why it was created, and how to get started in networking. Since the whole purpose of this website was kind of to get people who haven't started weightlifting to start, so they could make their lives, make their lives a little healthier. Then this page is the videos page, and this hosts all the this is the links to all the videos that Tommy made, and there are about 10 of them. And then you can sort them into upper body and lower body, so you can searching better. This is the equipment page. This just lists all the equipment and gives a picture that we have in our weight room. And the page is pretty long. There's a long list of them. And then this is the contact page. So if anyone wanted to get in contact with either Tommy, who made the videos, me, who made the website, or the high school in general, they could go to this page and get all the information up there. Well, and also this is for you, thank you for being my mentor during this. It was on the slide. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Were you able to get the videos up and running?
Yes. I decided to actually not upload it. It would take a lot of time to upload them to the website, so I just linked them to YouTube, but you can play them on the website.
Okay.
But you can also link it's a link straight to YouTube.
Is that the best way to do it, is to link them to YouTube when you're doing it? Do you always place them on there, even?
It's probably the best way, yeah, because then they're also YouTube. A lot of people go on there, and then if you have them just on your website, then that's the only place you can see them. But with YouTube, you can have them on your website as well as have them be seen on YouTube.
And does YouTube then have a link to your website?
No, we actually didn't in the program.
Is that something you could do?
Yeah, that's actually something